welcome to the Inovia Conversation. I'm Steve Waltz.
And I'm Jeff Brogulski.
And today, Jeff, we're coming into the end of 2020.
Woohoo!
Yeah, woohoo, right? And so we're going to do our traditional Year-End Potpourri podcast. It sounds like we do this all the time, doesn't it?
It does. I love it. Potpourri.
I think last year was one of our most popular episodes. We had at least a dozen people, I think, listen to that one. So
nice. All right.
So to put up the ratings and to get more content, we thought we'd invite one of our all-stars, Holly Cudel. Hi, Holly. How are you?
Welcome, Holly.
Thank you for having me join you guys.
And Jeff and I were talking about content. We were highly encouraged to get somebody that actually could add to the podcast. No, just kidding. And so we just thought how can we not end the year without Holly is what we were thinking.
Right. That's the answer there. How could you end the year without Holly?
That's right. It's Christmas time,
That's
right?
That's actually probably what a lot of our customers ask themselves.
At least some of my team. How can we end the year without Tracy and Alicia and Desiree and the crew?
And I think today's a perfect day. I mean, Jeff, think about it. Your Central Time, you got up bright and early for this. And prior to coming on, I'm talking with Holly. She got up a couple times over the night to help a customer with an issue. And I kept thinking, wow, I wouldn't have done that. So,
Steve, that's why we're in sales, Steve.
That's why we're in sales.
We'll go the extra mile. We aren't kidding. Goes from the top down. Working on inventory and having to run things at night when nobody's in their system to make those updates. And so I set my alarm and got up so that I can keep things moving.
That's awesome, Holly. And I kept thinking, Jeff. I asked her. I just got one question: did your husband wake up, or did he just lay there like I would?
He's learned. Just ignore me.
Did you get up last night? I didn't know that. Anyway, so what we thought we would do is just kind of do a recap, a little bit about 2020, some of the challenges, some of the great things that came out of it too, and then really kind of going into 2021, a little bit about what we're doing here at Inovia, but also, to hopefully be able to offer some good advice to help you with your NAB in BC. And one of the first things that really stood out for me was back in March when the businesses kind of all of a sudden they shut down the country, right? And right. I mean, it was scary for everybody. And, here we deal with a lot of people that are remote and have, they're using Microsoft and Holly, I wouldn't say your support department took a big hit, but it slowed down quite a bit, didn't it?
Yeah, in the beginning it did. I think people were scared. Like you said, it's, I hate to say it was an awful year. It was a different year and a strange year. There were good things and bad things that happened. And our hearts go out to people who have struggled and who didn't make it through the year. But there's been good stuff that came out of it as well. But in the beginning, people were afraid. And so the spend, unless it was truly broken, sort of stopped. And so we ran at a lower rate March, April into May. And then as May hit, things began to pick up and get more back to normal in our department. And now just crazy busy. But the early months were a little bit slow on support and service, but it gave us great opportunity to dig in and do some training and some rethinking and some improvements as a team and bond as a team. We had Spirit Week during it to keep everyone's spirits up and did some fun activities together remotely. I encourage everyone out there that if you are working remotely still, find those opportunities. We had Ladies' Night once a month with the whole Inovia women's group and met together just for an hour after once a month on a Wednesday night. But some great stuff that came out of it as well. But at the start of it, it was a little rough and it was scary.
It was scary. And I think, one of the things that we always talk about, if I had more time, I would do this, right? And, the neat thing is you had, I think, a good part of your staff, and I think other people's from projects team. We did some jet training, I heard, right?
Yes, we were able to take 2 people from every team. So we have 4 teams total here. And so we took 2 people from each team, and they had a full week, 40-hour week of jet trainings where they spent all day, every day for that week with the jet team and did jet training. It was their pilot program for remote. They hadn't done remote training before. It's always been in person. So that was fun. And we got to critique them, and it went very well. So we have a really strong team trained in the jet reports area. We sent someone from each team to Avalara, and we have certified Avalara consultants now. We walked through that with them. Serenic training we went through this year. Those are just a few of the things that they've done during this pandemic and in their downtime. And my entire team went through a customer service training program and are certified customer care agents now. So if you go on our website, the ones who did that training, who were hired and part of our team prior to the summer, you'll see that under their names, customer care agent. That's because they went through a certified program for customer care and how to best serve and take care of clients. So
that was a cool story of how you, that was a cool story of how you get that training. Maybe you could tell our listeners about how you got that training for free.
Right. So, you think about the pandemic and people can't wait for 2020 to be over. But like I said, strange year, odd year, different year. But some good stuff came out of it too. And so one of the people that I train with regularly on customer service, who charges an astronomical amount of money to do some of these trainings, he offered up towards the early part of the pandemic a free opportunity to attend a training with him and his team via Zoom. And so our entire team joined and took that training for free. Would have been a $200 class per person prior to the pandemic. So we had the opportunity to be part of that and go through that training and get certified through them for customer service at no charge. So that was kind of cool.
Very cool. And I know the customer engagement team, a lot of adjustments, because one of the things that makes, I think, Innovia different on the engagement side is that our customer engagement team, we travel to customers, spend time with them, and leave, and they don't get a bill.
Right.
And the beauty of that is our investment in that relationship is to really better understand their business and help them in a consultative role to really look at is there a business process change you're looking at? You're looking at this. There's a couple ISVs, but to have those conversations, and we weren't traveling. And so I'm sure Brian, our CFO, enjoyed not seeing those expense reports from traveling, right, as much. But it was adapting to the remote and the virtual meetings, and I think we learned a lot about virtual meetings, and it really and the neat thing is it didn't. I was not worried, but I was wondering how this is really going to affect that aspect of it. But it didn't really, because I think people became more understanding of the situation, right? Nothing like talking with somebody and one of the little kids is walking by, can you open this for me, Dad, or something? It was just, I thought there was more human element in some of those meetings. And so, I think it really, Jeff, I don't know, to put any more onus on you because of you do a lot of the demos, not having a chance to go visit the customers, or how did that affect you, what you do?
Yeah, well, I would say personally, 2020 was challenging, and as I transitioned from a part-time member of the sales team as an account manager to just pre-sales and licensing, and that meant the beginning of the year, January and February, I was traveling a lot because I was having transition meetings to hand off some customers, and then March hit, and it pretty much stopped. Do you know, this will be a trivia question, how many in-person demos I did this year? Yes, Steve.
The in-person?
Yep.
I would say less than 2.
Holly, do you have a guess?
I was going to say 3.
All right. Well, it was 1. I did 1 in-person demo. And so that was different. Usually it's depending on the type of opportunity. We are, we're traveling and there's something about getting direct feedback as you are, as you're showing the software that can't be replaced, depending on how shy people are with the use of cameras on Teams. So it was different. That in-person demo was in June, and so that was as regionally, as the COVID stuff was sort of subsiding at that time. We decided to go, and it was just a strange. We're used to, I think we're all used to signing the sheets when you show up at a business and sign yourself in. Well, there were more forms involved with signing in during a pandemic. It was, they were asking COVID related questions. They didn't take temperatures at the place that we visited, but then when you met people, were we shaking hands? You had to ask that question if people were comfortable shaking hands, and so that was certainly different. On a positive note, though, I actually this year delivered more demos than any year previous. So the idea that working remote and working via Teams doing these demos, that was something that allowed me to actually do 3 times more than I've done any other year. So that was a good thing. And for me, working remote, this is my 9th year of working remote. So it wasn't a change in how I work as much as the actual tasks that I'm doing and how I'm interacting with our customers and prospects.
Nice. In my previous life, with the pharma company, we worked out of home. So, that wasn't an adjustment for me on that, but I know it was an adjustment for a lot of people, especially, depending on what stage of life you're going through, right? So my kids are adult kids and they're not in the house. And I just thought of one of my relatives that has 5 kids under the age of 15 thinking, this year was probably a little bit more challenging for them than for me. I'm just trying to picture how you would juggle all of that. So Holly, one of the things that we've had some tremendous growth this year. We all got a little nervous back in March, but you know what? If you stay true and you just kind of have how can we help the customer? How can we help them win, do their business better? Just the growth has come and I kept thinking, one of the things, because you guys went through that training, and I think every year, the last couple of years, the synergy between the engagement team and your team has gotten more positive, and it's our customer, right? We say it, but it truly is our customer. And I kept thinking some of the requests that when I was dealing with people that were looking for a new partner, I was like, ooh, that's a lot of pain. Ooh, that's a lot of pain. It seemed like commissions were a big one this year, right? And a couple things. So, where did you think when we got either new customers or challenges from current customers? Maybe like we talked earlier, like how do we find the answers, or how do we, as you work as a team to solve some of the things that maybe we just weren't quite the experts then, but kind of became experts?
God, good question. So as far as my team goes, the answer is never no. We really, we talk about that a lot. How do we say no without saying no? And where do we go from there? So, a customer asks for something, it's our job to figure it out. It's our job to help them to get to that end result. So when they ask us something that in our minds we're thinking, you can't do that, we go to, so what does the end result look like? What does success look like? And start there. Instead of starting with the thought process of, here's what we want to do. And in our minds, we're thinking it's probably not possible. Let's start at the end result and reverse engineer it. So, where do you guys want to go with this? What does the success look like in what your ask is? And then how do we tackle that? And a lot of times it comes back to learning something new. And something I've learned years ago, and I tell my team is, go after the difficult ones, go after the scary ones. That's where you're going to grow. And that's where you're going to be challenged, and you're going to be passionate about what you're doing because it's exciting. No one wants to just live in status quo. I mean, we didn't like being quarantined, did we? It's the same thing when you're working on something.
Well, Jeff liked being quarantined.
He liked being quarantined? I doubt it. Unless he has a skateboard ramp in the backyard.
Ooh, that's a great idea for next pandemic.
Empty the pool, put in the skateboard ramps. But, just embrace those things. And, that's, I think, where we can come to is that a customer comes in, it's maybe not an area we're familiar with. Don't be afraid to learn it. Don't be afraid to step up. Our ISVs generally are great and willing to help. And, so someone comes along and it's a new or different ISV or a different area, is to, reach out, talk to them, learn the process, and help the customer along the way. As you're training and learning, you turn around and train and teach them. And, the learner learns the most, right? And the trainer learns the most when they're teaching someone else how to do something they're learning. So it's a win-win situation, but step up and be a part of it. Don't be afraid of something new. New is good and exciting. I've learned several new areas around the product, not even necessarily in the product, but ISVs that are out there and that work around and along with the product, that if it wasn't for a client wanting to use it or that had it and didn't know how to use it, that came on board with us, I would have never known about them. And so got involved with some new ISVs and some new areas that I hadn't known prior. So good stuff there.
Nice. And, one of the things at Innovia too is because we have grown, we added a 4th project team and soon to be a 5th project team going into 2021. And one of a lot of things that I get when I talk with prospective customers is that I really didn't understand I won't say probably the magnitude of our support team, the size of it, and what you guys do. Because I just assumed every partner had it when I first started, and I found out that's not true. And the ones that do have it seem like they do have it, but some of these people flip back and forth on project teams where, your team is how many people now?
12
people, which, it depends, I guess, what world you're coming from. But in the Microsoft ERP for Business Central, that's a big number for support. And the fact that you have developers and you have consultants and you got a software engineer on your team and, different backgrounds is, and levels of expertise on certain areas, which is really cool, and how you guys work as a team. So outside of knowing who, we asked Gino this on a podcast, didn't we, Jeff? Who was your least favorite customer engagement representative? Should we give Holly a pass on that for the year, or should we poke her on that?
I don't have a least favorite. It'll work here.
Gino took the bait.
It doesn't work here. They work somewhere else. Mentioned 12. Chad and I were talking the one day, and he made the comment that when he started with Innovia, 12 was bigger than the team that was here at Innovia. And you think about some partners, 12 is their team, and that's just our support team. And so I think one of the things we've done this year and that we look forward to working more on next year is internal growth, and how do we scale and how do we build up the team from within. 12 is a lot of people to manage, so within just support, it's its own mini little company. And so how do we scale that? And we're working towards moving the dispatch position into a team coordinator position. well, they'll do some more of the in-house scheduling and working with the team, so I could focus more globally on the bigger picture of the support and service team, and where we go and how we train and move forward as world-class customer service agents. And you talked about the synergy between us and customer engagement. And so one of the things we talk about is, who is your client? A client is anybody that needs your help. So whether it's internal or external. So my team works and trains on that. Not only do we respond a certain way to a client on the outside, an external client, but when someone from customer engagement or from accounting, or from management or from a project team asks of them, how do we respond to them? And it should be the same response that we give to an external customer, and so building that same synergy. And we want to build those good habits in-house as well as outside of the house. And so we work on that also. We're working on more internal structure, looking at some opportunities to have best practices, have point people who, that's who we look to help, keep us all focused and on the same page in different areas as NAV continues in Business Central to grow and change. Someone to help keep us abreast of everything that's going on, and what as a team, what Innovia is suggesting as best practices around the product.
Right, and I think, as you talked about our growth, when I first started, we were around 40, and now we're over 60, 65. But the good thing about it is, we have a plan in place to grow at a pace that still doesn't compromise service and quality. And one of the things too that we, when I talk with current customers or prospective customers, I always talk that our goal is to make you as self-sufficient as you can possibly be. And one of the things that came out of the pandemic was conversations that leadership and you had about these workshops that we've done. And it's been really cool. We had I know John and Jenny, who have taught the manufacturing classes at NAVUG, did a presentation, 2-day seminar a couple days ago. But maybe you can talk about what your team has done and how that came about.
Sure. So, and it wasn't just my team. As the pandemic started and things were starting to slow down a little bit, we looked at that desire to build, some workshops to better equip our clients. We were being asked in different areas for training repeatedly, and so we looked at building that out. So we got together and we started with financials and put together a team, and it was a team across other teams. It wasn't just my team involved. So Brian from Gino's team and Kevin from Annette's team, Tracy and Marguerite from my team, were the main ones that were involved initially, and then some others got involved as we moved forward on those areas. And we came up with 10 workshops that we felt would fit half-day or whole-day sessions around the financial area, and began to build those out for clients so that they could attend those. And then we just continued from there. It just really kind of mushroomed, and Tom, Tom's like, when he gets a hold of something, got really excited about it. And so we started coming up with other types of workshops we could do, and assigned different team members to those, and began to build those out. Gino kind of took the helm on the development side and ran with the developers on building tracks for the development. They have a great first developers course that they've run once, and I believe it's coming up or just happened again. So that's been a great addition as well. And it's never ending. We have a list of another dozen that are being built out in the first quarter, and will get rolled out in the second quarter of the next year, around different areas, relation management in the system, inventory. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that are on that list, but keep looking for them because they're coming. So just more opportunities for the workshops. And then after we got them built and we started to begin the process of promoting them and scheduling them, I was blown away by our management team that came back and came up with this price that I thought was phenomenal. I was like, you couldn't get this somewhere. You couldn't do it for your own team with support at the prices that we're doing the workshops for. And yeah, we turned around, and if it wasn't enough that the price was extremely reasonable, then the management team says, yeah, we're going to let the whole company come for that price. So they can fill up the conference room and everybody join in and participate for that one price. And I thought that was insane. People just don't do that. It's always per seat. So kudos to our management team. I thought that was, really, really a great step towards equipping our clients at a very, very reasonable price.
Yeah, when I saw the prices and and we talked, it was like it's per company. And I mean, like I don't know what the NAVHUG price for like John and Jenny's class. It's a 1-day class, right? It was manufacturing 1 and 2, 4 hours with a lunch break. And the one that they did for us was a 2-day workshop. And I think it was $600 per company, because one company had, I think, 5 or 6 people.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking that would have been probably closer to $10,000 if they would have went to an on-site event. So
Right.
that was, that was really cool. And I think it kind of goes to, what we really try to do is, look, we want to help you get to a good place, help you understand this. And when it's time for the heavy lifting, we're here. We got your back. So I guess a couple of questions and we'll kind of wrap up here is, I think one of the things that the three of us, we are glass half full people. I don't know if you knew Jeff was or not, Holly, but he is.
Oh, my glass is always full. I think it's overflowing most of the time.
It runneth over.
Run it over.
And so we try to take, it's adversity. It's how you deal with adversity. And as you said, we know some of our customers had struggle this year, and it's getting to that mindset of change, of how do we adapt, right? And I think we were forced to change. A lot of companies were forced to change this year. So I don't know if there's any anything you guys want to offer up to companies that are maybe putting together plans for next year on how they can use technology to improve their business. I think if you guys would like to offer up on that.
Well, I think when I think back to the start of this, I remember the one of the things that was as in demand as toilet paper was headsets, because we had, with newly remote workforces, we were doing a bunch of answering a bunch of questions, helping a bunch of companies move to Microsoft Teams. Microsoft had thrown in the free offer to make it easier for customers to try out the solution. So I think back to I think it was reactionary at the time, having businesses have to work remotely, but I think I have seen with working with all of these, we've got so many customers that are so much more. They're actually more efficient. They're more comfortable running teams. Getting on camera with them. It's all so I think they're going to be able to use that to their advantage in 2021, and I expect that it's strange. Both of my daughters graduated college, both got jobs in 2020, and neither one of them has been to an office yet, other than to receive their laptops and headsets. So their entire professional careers, they've just been working remotely. And so I think this kind of new reality that has set in, not that we're all going to permanently work remote, but I think the idea of making the best of any situation, having that positive mindset that Holly mentioned, that I think is pervasive throughout our organization from a cultural perspective. I think those are those sort of things are going to make 2021 even better. So along those lines, do either of you have any New Year's resolutions for 2021?
Be better.
Mine is to get hurt less on my skateboard.
I expected technology. Thought Jeff was going to say everyone should wear those goggles so you're like remote virtual reality in your office and have some crazy HoloLens stuff. And good idea, right?
I would totally be for that. That would be. We could all like have 3-dimensional.
Yeah. I'm going bold, Joe. Yeah, so the cigars I'm going to smoke are going to be quality cigars, and I'm not going to buy cheap coffee this year.
Ooh, life is too short for cheap coffee and cheap cigars.
You know, you're getting old and senile. It's like, yeah, I don't want to waste I don't want a bad cup of coffee. I just don't want to waste it. Yeah. Actually, I've gone more to the tea and doing a lot of Arnold Palmer's. Right, get rid of the diet soda. Everybody talks about diet and exercise, and for 25 years I called on dietitians and healthcare and nutritional area, and so I always think like I ate so much turkey and chicken that I've spent the last 5 years catching up on all the beef and red meat and stuff. So, anyway, but I think we're excited about 2021. I was kind of going back because one of the questions I have, and we'll kind of wrap up here, is. So what was of all the podcasts, Jeff, that we did last year? No, we got to exclude Holly because we've had her in a couple, and we know those are the highest rated ones. So and we'll pull Holly into this one. But of all the podcasts that you guys listened to, which one stood out the most to you in 2020? I mean, it's an easy one, Jeff. I mean, I would be shocked if you don't.
For me, I'd have to say it was the episode we had Donovan on.
There you go. Selling computers out of his trunk at the county fair. I mean, does it get any better than that? Holly, I don't know if you had a chance.
Donovan's always a good time.
He charged people to hop on a van to watch what do you call those big trucks, monster truck things? They're a true salesman, a true entrepreneur. So Donovan, I think you won the award of the best podcast of the year. So congratulations, Jeff. Will send out your trophy to you here in the next couple of weeks. So, well, great. Anything you guys would like to add?
Yeah, just 2021. Dynamic Con, great new user group that is spun up, free to the users and no charge at all. And, their March conference, the sessions are being voted on by the people. So it's not a group of people involved in that community or that have paid to be part of that community that are going to decide what the conference looks like. It's the users that are going to decide. So got involved with Dynamics Con, and just that simple, dynamicscon.com. And January 4th, voting will begin. All the sessions are up there, and you can pick and choose and vote on the ones that you'd like to see them do, and attend the free conference and see those different areas you'd like to see. So kind of like the elections, man. If you don't vote, don't complain.
Nice. And
right.
Thanks, Alex. That leads into, I think, kind of what we talk about, right? Point people in direction to get the education, because now you could go on our website. You got NAVUG and you got Dynamic Con, and there's just a bunch of great resources out there. So, Jeff?
As usual, I have nothing, Steve. I have already. I'll just say that I'm looking forward to starting a new year with my Innovia family. How does that sound?
That sounds good. And so, Jeff, how many CRM podcasts can I do next year?
Ooh,
limit me to 12.
Over or under 14 is the number that we're going on.
So we just did what Holly was poking at me. I thought that was not very nice of Jeff. Not that I've grown, to that.
Hey, it's anyway. Bears Packers week, Steve. We can't be nice to each other.
It is. It's the perfect setup, right? Oh, good news. Yes, last night I won my first fantasy football Super Bowl in the last 5 years. I won some big coin. So we're going to McDonald's for lunch. Come on, guys. Let's go, guys.
All right. There.
and so by the grace of God, if the Bears could actually beat the Packers, They're in the
Yeah.
playoffs, but Aaron Rodgers is coming to Soldier Field, and we know what he does. So maybe they'll just bench him. You know, we can. It's not going to happen. So thanks for bringing that up, Jeff.
Well, actually, though, we should ask, like, Holly, what's going on with the Cleveland Browns? Are they going to make it into the playoffs?
Crossed, man. Fingers crossed. And we're in the same boat. It's Cleveland and Pittsburgh game on Sunday, and we have to win. We have to beat them.
Yeah, it's not like they lost to the Jets or anything. Oh, what, they did?
Right?
Oh my gosh!
Stop it.
I'm sorry.
It was a bad week. What can you say? You know, you have all your running backs with COVID, and
they lost a lot of players.
And they couldn't even leave Cleveland until Sunday morning, I think, is when they flew out of Cleveland. So they weren't even there a day before. It was a rough week.
It was a rough week. So there's always next year's.
One game at a time. That's the goal. You mean next year? One game at a time.
One game at a time. Well, I'm a lifelong Cub fan, and they're starting a garage sale. So it's back to the AAAs for us. But anyway, thank you for Holly for joining. And as we end our last, as we wrap up our last podcast of 2020, we're going to go ahead and end it now. This podcast is over.